You're up a pound.
263.2. This week has been the challenge.
So when did it start? When did when did the spiral start? Was it Saturday or Sunday?
Sunday.
Sunday?
Yeah. I got down and then right after Wednesday, right after we had that thing, it was 265, and then it started going. Yeah, it went down, and then Sunday it started going back up, and then this morning it went down a pound.
So it started on Sunday or started on Saturday?
Sunday.
Sunday.
Well, Sunday.
Father's Day.
Yeah. Because it was one of those real frustrating things where, the whole day was like, oh, Father's Day, Happy Father's Day, type of thing. Didn't think anything of it. Got to church and something happened there that triggered a memory, and it registered. This is my first Father's Day without my dad. I lost it. That was it. And pretty much the rest of the day, I kept running into people or getting phone calls from people. Oh, honey, it's your first time without your dad. And it's like, if I hear this one more time, I'm going to hit somebody. And of course, my sister called, and we boo-hooed together, and my mom, and it just went on and on and on and on. And it's like, please, somebody stop, And you know me, I'm not a very, I want to say very emotional. I'm not one to be crying or frustrated or anything like that. I'm usually an upbeat type person. So when depression hits me, it takes forever to get rid of it, type of thing. And so I've been, trying to get past that, and then I'm out in the yard working on the damn fence, and I'm working on that tree that fell in our front yard, and the city's supposed to take care of it, but they're not doing it. And then I had to take her to the vet. And, of course, the readings and stuff that came out for her was not the best. She's 14 years old. Her liver count is bad. Kidney count's not the greatest. It's just a sign of age. And so it's like, how do we treat her without harming her in the same manner? It's not like someone who's young and said, oh, I ate something that didn't agree with me.
Right.
It's everything else, And so it just stopped. It just built up.
When did your dad pass?
August last year.
Okay.
So it's just. He, Alzheimer's. He basically forgot who I was 2 or 3 years before he died. So the man that. Yeah. And he was like my best buddy. Before he died, we had another dog. His name is Parker. He's my son's dog. My son was on deployment. Parker, we knew, was dying. And I would get frustrated with the vets because they were like, well, let's spend a lot of money on stuff that's just not going to help. Why? He's dying. There's nothing you can do about it. Let nature take its course. It's just the way it is. And outside of, I try to make sure he's comfortable and happy and all that kind of stuff. Matter of fact, the day before he died, he was still chasing squirrels. So why put him down when he's content? And the hard part was that dog, during his healthy time, was muscle bound. I mean, there was no fat on this dog. I mean, you could see muscles just rippling off of him everywhere. And then he started getting sick and not eating and not holding his food and all that kind of stuff. And slowly you see the muscle going away. Eventually you could literally see bone through the skin. And it was hard to see, but he still was happy. So I would put little sweaters, on that, and he was cold, so I would put sweaters on him to keep him warm. And dealing with that on an everyday basis, my dad was doing the same thing. Healthy, strong man, wasting away to nothing. So it was like I'm living through it with Parker, I'm living through it with my dad. I hate this. I really hate this.
Why do you hate it?
I like to have control of my emotions. But my Parker died in my arms. That was my day from hell, because that's when
you say control of your emotions, though, why not allow yourself to cry?
I do when I'm alone.
Why? Why alone?
Because I don't like the way people act when they're around me when I'm upset. Either they're, oh, poor baby, oh, poor this, and giving me advice that I really don't need. It's like I already know those answers, I just need to work through it. Or they're bitchy, and I like to slap them. Does that make sense? But
they try to tell you that you need to get over it.
Something like that. And yell at me.
Because they've gotten over it?
They have no connection to what's going on.
Correct.
It's one of those, kind of like with me and him. He fights depression every day. It's just him. I don't. It's like I'm usually the upbeat person and stuff like that. And it'd be like, he's suffering with whatever's going on with him, and I'm just like, oh, get over it. It's just life, that kind of thing. It's stupid. He can't control what's going on with his stuff, The best thing I can do is just let me know when you're done. If you need me, let me know, I'm over here, type of thing. And that's usually how we deal with it. Same thing with my son. Even my son, was it yesterday he came home? The day before he came home? Furious from something that happened at work. And life in general, it's like he's got a job but it barely pays for his expenses, type of thing, and there's stupid stuff that goes on at work, and he would like to have a job that meant something other than making a bunch of stupid sandwiches, and so, but he's trying to go to college, and you can't get a full-time job when you're trying to do college, type of thing, how that is. And so he's just frustrated, period. And he's trying to keep it in he's like me. He's like, okay, let's put our things in our boxes, in our little, and this is where this is where this is, and let's separate the two, type of thing. And he says, I'm going to go inside now before I get mad and yell at you when I know you've had nothing to do with whatever it is I'm upset with. So my son understands logically. I had nothing to do with it, but his emotions are starting to get out of control. Let's leave me alone. Let me deal with my emotions, and I'll get with you later. And that's kind of how I am. It's like, let me get my emotions under control, then I'm good. Type of thing. But yeah, it's one of those. The day Parker died was the day that Annie kicked my ass and charged me with assault and battery. And then we, she got taken off to the hospital. She told all kinds of lies about me. It was a bunch of nonsense. And it really hurt because she was like best friend. She called me moms. They lived in our house. We were like best buddies. And she treated me like that. And it hurt. And it was on the same day that Parker died. We're thinking logically, you know, you gotta understand she's mentally disabled, and chances are she thought she wasn't getting enough attention, so therefore she acted out in order to get attention, and she got it, you know. She doesn't think that her actions will have a negative effect on anybody, and so she just does whatever she does. So that was my day from hell. And then July we had the shooting, and then in August, my mom was selling the property and had to go to South Dakota. I hadn't seen Dad in like a month or better, because there was something going on with him, and they had to transfer him to the hospital, you know, do this and that and the other with him, and they didn't want family having any contact with him while he was going through all of that, because they would have trouble getting him to cooperate, you know, type of thing. So when Mom went off to South Dakota, he was just getting back, and I was finally allowed to go see him. And I was seeing him on a regular basis before that. So I went to go see him and about had a heart attack, because you could see bone through his face and his skin. And a waistline that should be like this is like this. It was just like, his pants weren't holding up. And I was like, Mom, I called Mom and I said, there's a problem here. You know, his clothes aren't fitting. She said, well, go get a size smaller. And I'm like, he's more than a size smaller. He dropped, he was like a 36 waist, and I had to get a 32 pair of pants, and they were baggy on him. You know, and he started, what do you call it? When your muscles start to jump involuntarily, he started doing that. And I was terrified, because I was afraid Dad was going to die before my mom got back from South Dakota, you know. And I went and talked to the people there, and I said, you know, we got to do something. We got to keep him alive and tell my mom, because they're asking me some pretty important questions I don't know how to answer, you know. And they're like, oh, he's fine. And I'm like, he's not fine. And they're like, well, what do you know so much about it? It's like, you don't know how many times I have seen death. You know, Parker was not the first time I've seen death. I've held babies who had died. I've seen death too many times. I know what it looks like, you know. They told me I didn't know what I was talking about. And I said, just do me one favor and keep him alive until my mom gets back. That's all I asked for. And so I guess my mom was gone a week. She came back, and I tried to prepare her for what she was going to see, and she was shocked. And so she made arrangements for hospice care. You know, he could stay at the home, but hospice would come in, and basically hospice just makes sure that your basic needs are taken care of. You know, if you're in pain, you get Tylenol. They're not going to do anything to preserve your life. They're just trying to make you more comfortable. That's all it is. And so we went, and we went to the home. We had the meeting there, signed all the papers, that kind of thing, and then we went to go see Dad, and they were getting ready to have lunch. And Mom's like, oh, hi, Dad, how you doing? Ralph, hi, Dad. And I took one touch of his back, and that's all I needed to know, that this was it. And I lost it. I cried. My mom thought I was overreacting, but I held it and I cried. got to the point where the nurse had to sit down and help him feed. So Mom says, well, let's go get our lunch and then we'll come back and visit with Dad when we're more up to it. And so we went back to my mom's house. She made lunch for me, and I took maybe 3 bites when we got the phone call that Dad was gone. Mom went to go get Val, and I just drove over there by myself, and I was there by myself with Dad, and I helped him.
So it sounds like to me a lot of the memories that you have of your father are more negative memories.
Oh, I remember fun stuff like it's dark. My kids helped my dad build the dock on the lake. That mountain. It's different, but it's like looking over their lake. They had a lake on their property. And you look a little across the lake and you see the mountains. Or it's not the mountains. It's actually rock. It's giant boulders. You stand 3, 4 people on top of each other, you get one of the boulders. And there's trees coming out all over the place. And the kids run and play. It's the most peaceful place. My dad and I could talk about anything. I was in my 50s before my mom and I started having a decent relationship. Things started changing when I finally showed her pills that the doctor had given me for anxiety. And she claimed that the reason why I had this fit this one day is because I was taking the pills. I wasn't having it, but she was screaming at me. I had enough. And I looked at her and I says, I love you, and I appreciate you, and I walk out the door. And she, to this day, she swears I said something different. And it's one of those, as long as I'm careful what I say and do, everything with my mom's great, you know, but I can't be truthful. I can't flat out say, Mom, you're being a pain in my ass and I wish you'd stop it. You know, she's not happy unless she's complaining about something. You know, she's never happy with anything, especially with me. And my dad accepted me more for who I am. And growing up, if you look at the family history of health and all that kind of stuff, my dad's family lives, Aunt Rosie died at 102. His folks were in the 90s, you know. My mom's family, 60, 70-ish, maybe, you know. And Dad died at 73. And my mom's healthy, if you consider bad kidneys and blood pressure and all that healthy, but it's just one of those confusing things, you know. They didn't, when they were preparing for retirement, they prepared for my mom to pass before my dad. So, the retirement money that my dad would have gotten, they didn't plan for that because they figured Mom would go first instead of my dad, type of thing, so. They did his retirement to end when he died versus be given to her, type of thing, so. She's got financial problems and stuff like that, so. But my mom's adjusting. She's getting, our relationship is better. You know, it's improving. Sometimes as I actually start to have fun when I'm with her. There's days where she just sits there and pouts and carries on the table, and I just bring myself to keep me occupied. But then there's times where she cracks me up because she will spend the day cleaning out her storage unit and putting it back pretty much the same way it was in the first place, you know. She's very, very, very OCD. Everything's got to be just right or it's not right at all. And she's used to a massive, large house, and now she lives in a 2-bedroom, or actually it's a 1-bedroom with a den apartment. To my surprise, she's got 2 storage units connected to the apartment, which I've never had. I was like, how'd you rate to get this? So, and pretty much everything I did in life was wrong and needed to be attacked, you know. The YouTube thing, she's gotten to the point where she'll actually yell at me for not pulling out the camera and recording this or taking pictures of that, you know, that kind of thing, which I think is entertaining. She's the one who got me into YouTube in the first place when I think it's funny. And she, the diet thing at first didn't start, it started off kind of on the bumpy side, but now it's like she just fixes whatever she wants and eats it in front of me and doesn't make any comments or anything. She's like, I'm just hungry, and I think it's entertaining because she'll fix a proper meal and she'll eat maybe half of it, throw away the other half, you know, and I'm sitting there watching her eating habits, not the greatest, and how do you fix it? You can't do anything about it, you know. You want to do stuff for her, but you're limited. And she complains about what she wants. I know how to solve that, but she doesn't want my opinion. You know?
So it's a loss.
It's a loss.
You have a loss with, obviously, with your dad being gone, you have a loss of connection.
Big time. This last week, oh sorry Susie, I didn't mean to scare you. This last week, I found out that my dad could sew. I knew about the carpentry. I knew about the construction. I knew he built 3 houses, you know, and I'm kind of like Dad's daughter, you know. It's like the fence fell down. I know exactly how to fix that thing. Having the strength to do it might be another issue. It may take me months to get this thing fixed on my own. But and I'm a seamstress at home. And the other day I was at my sister's with my mom, and my sister, they got to talking about roses or something like that, and Val pulls out this little piece of cloth with silk stitching of a rose, and the back was like immaculate. You know, you don't see stitching that looks that immaculate. And I was like, wow, who did this? And she says, Dad did. When did he do that, you know? Evidently when my mom was pregnant with my sister, Dad made it, and he finished it just before my sister was born. And I guess I remember seeing an apron with that flower on it, but it never registered anything to me. Mom had cut the fabric away from around the flower and gave it to my sister, and so this is the first time I even knew Dad had any connection with it. And so we spent the day going to Hobby Lobby trying to figure out how to get it mounted and get it framed and all this other good stuff, and I guess they just finished it, and it's really, really nice. So I thought that was kinda on the cool side, so.
It is.
Yeah, I was just like something, I never knew about that. And, my mom, I went over to my mom's and she says, I wish I had a camera to take a picture of your face when you saw that thing and realized it was Dad who made it. And I was like, I couldn't believe it. It was just, wow, you know. But Dad's always done really nice work. Anything he's done. He's done carving, you know, like little wood carving. He's made a mountain lion. It looks like a real miniature mountain lion. And he was just, the detail that he could do was just awesome.
You know, what's important to, address is when these things that do come about impede the ability to lose weight, because what it does is it drains you, emotionally and mentally, right? Where you don't really care. Losing weight that day is not important.
Yeah.
Right?
My problem is I don't eat. I just refuse to eat, and I had to, a couple of days I just had to force. It's like, it's food.
Right.
And I took a bite and didn't really care for the rest of it.
Right. So from that perspective, you're gonna encounter another emotional response when you go up to South Dakota and do what you guys are planning to do. Right?
Yeah.
So this is kind of a fortuitous event that that's what's likely to take place. So some things that you can do to maybe help overcome some of the emotional component of grief is, think of some positive things. And so one of the things that I like to recommend is journaling. Right? Journal the positive memories that you have. Right? That way you're not bringing back the thought of the negative memories that you have in the last month or last 2 months that what transpired. Right? So maybe from a standpoint you can do is work on journaling your thoughts of some of the positive memories of what transpired. And there's it's raw emotion. Right? Don't filter it, just write it down.
Yeah. I've been working on his pictures. I had to laugh on Facebook. I was angry because everybody kept bothering me about it.
Yeah.
So I went on Facebook and I went through a whole bunch of my dad. I have thousands of pictures of my dad. So I'm trying to put videos together. And I went and found various pictures, funny stuff. Put it on Facebook. I says, y'all gonna remind me of him? Here he is. And then I started crying from all the responses.
Sure. It's okay to be emotional.
I know. I was thinking my emotion box is broken. Well, I had a friend, the one who charged me, very emotional person. Every little thing would set her off, type of thing. And she was real surprised to see, various things happen, and I just deal with it. Having to call the ambulance to deal with this or whatever. Or I think there was one time somebody tried to pick a fight, and I dealt with it, type of thing, without getting all crazy. And she goes, how do you do that? I said, I have this box, this marked emotions, you know, I open it up, I throw my bleh in there, shut it, lock it, throw away the key, hide the box, deal with the issue. You know, and then later on, when I have the time, I pull out my box and I go bleh into it. And I don't hate emotions. They have their place. You know, just, I like to keep them in their place. You know, that kind of thing. But
So over the next week, why don't you try journaling some positive memories? I mean, you kind of already started doing that, posting the videos up, and I think that one of the things you can think about is the public nature of how you can accept comments back. Or I want this to be more of a private situation for you, is where you can focus on the positive memories, right? So I would encourage you over the next 7 days to try to write down 1, 7, however many positive memories you can think of. And that's what I want you to write on your paper next week, by next week, and we can discuss those.
Okay.
Okay?
So you want a paper of?
Well, I want you to do it and you can share it with me verbally.
Okay. Okay.
Because I want you to keep it.
Oh, okay.
Okay?
Yeah.
So what does your schedule look like next Wednesday?
I don't remember what the date is next Wednesday, the 26th?
I think it's the...
Yeah, we're good.
The 26th?
Yeah. It's the week after that that's a little issue.
Okay.
That would be like if we did it, we'd have to do it later in the year.
On the 3rd? I think we're gonna be closed down that day anyways.
Oh, and I need supplies.
We're going to get some bars in next week. We placed the order yesterday. We ran out. I've got shakes, so
Okay.
all types of shakes. So. How about next week at 10:30?
Okay.
Does that work?
Yeah.
Let me go. What flavor of shakes would you like?